John Walker had only meant to take a short walk. The mission was simple. Scout the surface of an unexplored planet called 09. Earth Science Council believed the planet might be safe for human colonization. Lush green forests, breathable air, and signs of water had sparked their interest. John was part of the first team to land. He was not the best scientist or the smartest engineer. He was an explorer field agent, trained to map out terrain and stay calm in strange environments. Still, he had a habit of wandering off just a little too far. That's what got him lost. The forest was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no animals. Just the soft rustle of tall blue trees swaying in the breeze. The leaves glowed faintly in the dark, like stars scattered across a midnight sky. John had walked farther than he planned, marking his path with a small digital tracker on his wrist. Then, the tracker blinked red. Signal lost. He muttered, tapping the screen. No connection. He tried to retrace his steps, but everything looked the same. Every tree had the same glowing leaves. The forest twisted around him like a living maze. Hours passed. His water bottle was nearly empty. The sun, or whatever 09 had for a sun, was setting fast. Great. Just great. John said, sitting down on a rock. Lost on an alien planet. Bravo, Walker.
Ow, Walker.
Then he heard it. A soft sound, like humming. He turned and saw a figure tall, graceful, and not human. The alien woman stepped out from between the trees. Her skin was light, violet, smooth, and glowing softly in the twilight. Her eyes were large and golden, with vertical pupils like a cat's. Her long, dark hair flowed behind her like a scarf made of ink. John stood up slowly, raising both hands. "I don't want trouble," he said calmly. "I'm lost. I come in peace."
Dad.
The woman tilted her head, studying him. Then, to his surprise, she spoke in perfect English. "You are from the sky," she said softly. "A traveler. You are far from your kind." John blinked. "Wait, how do you speak my language?" "I listen, I learn," she replied simply. "Follow me. It is not safe here at night." Before he could respond, she turned and began walking. John hesitated, but something about her made him feel safe. She didn't seem afraid of him. She didn't even look back to see if he was following. "All right," he muttered. "Hope I'm not walking into some alien trap." He followed her. They walked in silence through glowing trees and strange plants. Flowers opened as they passed, releasing soft lights into the air like floating fireflies. The path was not clear, but the woman moved with confidence. She knew the forest well. After nearly an hour, they arrived at a large tree massive, old and carved with markings. A soft blue light glowed from inside. "This is my home," she said. John stepped inside carefully. It wasn't a house like humans built, but it was warm and welcoming. The walls were part of the tree, but the floor was smooth and soft, almost like living carpet. Strange devices hummed in corners. Bowls of fruit-like food sat on a low table. The woman motioned for him to sit. "You may rest. Eat. You are safe now." John sat down, finally relaxing. "I'm John Walker," he said. Earth," she nodded. "I am Lyra, from this place." He picked up one of the fruits. It looked like a mix between a pear and a mango. He sniffed it sweet, not strange. He took a bite. "Tasted like honey. You're not afraid of me," John said between bites. Lyra looked at him with a calm expression. "I have seen your kind before. Long ago another fell from the sky. He was not cruel." "Good to know," John said. For a moment, they just sat there in silence. It wasn't awkward. It felt peaceful. Then Lyra stood. "There is one thing I must do," she said. "Come." He followed her outside again. A group of her people had gathered. Near a glowing circle of light, they looked at John with wide eyes, curious but not hostile. Lyra stepped forward, raising her hand. "This man is under my protection," she said in her native language, though John's wrist translator picked it up. She placed a hand gently on John's shoulder. "He is my husband." John froze. "Wait. What?" The crowd nodded with approval. A few clapped. Someone smiled. John turned to Lyra, wide-eyed. "Did you just say I'm your husband?" She looked at him calmly. "It is the only way. In our laws, a bonded partner is family. You will be respected. You will not be harmed or questioned. But we just met." "Yes," she said simply. "But they don't know that." John didn't know whether to laugh, panic, or thank her. John's heart was pounding. The word husband echoed in his mind like a strange, unexpected melody. He looked around at the circle of alien faces watching him. Their expressions were calm, some curious, others welcoming.
Oh.
None seemed hostile. He glanced back at Lyra. Her golden eyes held steady, as if this was normal, and there was no room for argument. Somehow her calm made John feel less alone in this alien place. One of the aliens stepped forward, a tall, broad-shouldered male with shimmering silver skin and deep blue eyes. He spoke in their native tongue, and John's wrist translator immediately turned the words into English. "You honor us by accepting the bond, Walker." John blinked. "I didn't exactly accept anything," he said. Lyra smiled gently. "Have no choice. It is the law here. To protect outsiders, we claim them as family." John took a deep breath and nodded slowly. "All right, if it keeps me safe, I'll play along." The crowd murmured in approval. One of the villagers brought forward a cup of clear, sparkling liquid. "Drink," the man said. "It seals the promise." John took the cup cautiously. The liquid tasted fresh and clean, like water mixed with light sweetness. He swallowed it and felt a small warmth spread through his chest. Lyra reached out and squeezed his hand lightly. "You are one of us now," she said softly. John swallowed hard. He wasn't sure if he was ready for this, but he knew arguing would not help. For now, he had to trust Lyra and these people. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Met several members of the village. They all looked very different. Some had skin in shades of blue, others pale green. Some had long limbs, others shorter bodies, but all carried themselves with grace and calm. Most surprising to John was how peaceful the village felt. No noise of machines or loud voices, just soft conversations and laughter. It was like a small sanctuary in the middle of a strange, glowing forest. One woman, with silver hair that shimmered like moonlight, smiled at John and said, "Welcome, brother-in-law." John nearly choked on his food. "Brother-in-law," whispered to Lyra. "Family titles differ here," Lyra explained. "You are now part of my family. We share bonds to protect one another." John nodded, feeling a mix of confusion and amusement. That night, John was shown to a small room inside the giant tree home. The walls glowed softly, and the bed was made of soft woven materials. He lay down, his mind spinning with everything that had happened. Was this real? Was he really married to an alien woman he just met? And what would happen tomorrow? Outside his window, the forest lights pulsed gently. Somewhere in the distance, the night chorus of strange creatures filled the air. John closed his eyes and tried to sleep. The next morning, John woke to the soft sound of birds' well, something like birds, but with a strange whistle. He rubbed his eyes and stretched. Lyra was waiting outside his door. "Good morning," she said with a warm smile. "Breakfast is ready." John followed her to the main hall, where the villagers had gathered. A long table was set with colorful dishes of fruits, nuts, and steaming bowls of a thick, creamy soup. John took a spoonful and found the flavor unfamiliar but comforting. The food was clearly made from local plants, but it tasted better than he expected. As he ate, Lyra explained more about her people. "Our tribe is called the Valians," she said. "We live in balance with the forest. We do not harm it. Our technology grows from the earth, not against it." John nodded, fascinated. "I've never seen anything like this. It's on Earth. People fight over resources all the time." Lyra looked sad. "We have had wars before, but we learned. Life is precious here." John wished he could believe that humans could learn so fast. Suddenly, the village chief arrived. He was an older Valian with white hair and deep green skin. He greeted John with a bow. "Walker," he said, "we honor you as part of our family, but there is more to know." At him curious, The chief motioned for everyone to gather around a glowing map projected in the center of the hall. The map showed the forest and the mountains beyond. "There is danger near," the chief said. "A group from another world seeks to take our land. They bring machines that destroy everything." John's stomach tightened. "We need your help." The chief continued, "Your people are clever and brave, can teach us new ways." John looked at Lyra, who nodded. He suddenly felt a sense of purpose. Maybe getting lost was the best thing that happened to him. The next few days passed quickly. John learned how the Valians lived, how they grew food without harming the soil, how they communicated silently through small devices, how they used their technology to heal plants and animals. He showed them some of Earth's simple tools and ideas. The Valians were quick learners, curious about everything he shared. One afternoon, John and Lyra walked through the village together. Children played nearby, and elders sat under giant glowing trees telling stories. "Do you think you'll ever leave?" John asked. Lyra looked thoughtful. "I do not know. But I know you are here now. You belong." John smiled. He wasn't sure what the future held, but he felt something he hadn't in a long time: hope. That night, John sat outside under the stars with Lyra. The sky on 09 was filled with unfamiliar constellations. The forest glowed softly around them. "Thank you," John said quietly, "for saving me, for trusting me." Lyra smiled, reaching for his hand. "You are not lost anymore, John. You are home." John looked at her and realized this strange new world might not be so bad after all. John was slowly getting used to life in the Valian village. Every day felt like a peaceful dream, far away from the fast, noisy world he had known on Earth. Here, there were no sirens, no crowds, no rushing to meet deadlines. Instead, there were glowing trees, soft music from nature, and people who treated each other like family. But there was one thing John still didn't fully understand. Lyra's words when she first introduced him as her husband. They weren't acting like a couple. They slept in separate rooms, shared meals like friends, and talked often. But there was no pressure, no expectations. Lyra was kind, respectful, and always calm. But John wanted to know more. He needed to understand what that word meant in her culture. One morning, while helping Lyra gather glowing fruit from high vines, he finally asked, "Lyra, why did you really call me your husband that day?" Lyra paused, the sun filtering through the leaves. Above her, "In our language, the word I used means more than just husband," she said gently. "It means someone I have chosen to protect, someone I trust to stand beside me." John nodded slowly. "So it's not marriage the way humans understand it?" She smiled. "Not exactly. It is a bond, a promise. We form these bonds when we feel a deep connection, sometimes emotional, sometimes spiritual, and sometimes to keep others safe." "Like me," John said. "Yes. If I had not claimed you, others might have feared you or tried to send you away. Now you are part of my family. No one can question your place here." John was quiet for a moment. "And how do your people feel about that you chose a human?" She looked at him, her golden eyes shining softly. "They trust me. They see your heart. That matters more than your shape or your origin." John felt warmth in his chest. He still didn't fully understand Valian traditions, but he respected them. And he respected Lyra for her courage, her honesty, and the way she made him feel calm, even when everything around him was unknown. Later that day, Chief called for a village meeting. John sat beside Lyra as everyone gathered under the heart tree. It's the oldest and tallest tree in the village. Its roots ran deep through the forest, and its branches reached the sky. The chief stood in front of the crowd, holding a small device in his hand. "We have news," he said. "Our watchers have seen the outsiders again." A hush fell over the group. "They landed on the far side of the mountain. They bring machines. They cut trees. They poison water." Anger and fear flickered across the villagers' faces. John leaned closer to Lyra. "Who are they?" "A group from another planet," she whispered. "They came here many years ago, but were forced to leave. Now they return more dangerous." The chief continued, We do not want war, but we must prepare. We must protect our forest and our families. He turned to John. You, Walker, come from a world of machines, a world of strong minds. Will you help us again? John stood slowly. All eyes turned to him. I'm not a soldier, he said honestly, but I've seen what greed can do. I've seen how quickly people can destroy what they don't understand. He looked around the crowd. I'll help. I'll teach you what I know, and I'll stand with you. A soft cheer rose from the villagers. The chief nodded in respect. You are more than a guest now, he said. You are a protector. The next few days were busy. John worked with the Valian builders and thinkers to create simple defense tools, nothing dangerous. Just clever traps, early warning devices, ways to block paths without harming the forest. He used Earth Idea's motion sensors, pressure, plates, noise alarms, and adapted them with Valian energy crystals. The result was something new, technology that worked with nature, not against it. Lyra watched him work with quiet pride. You have a gift, she told him one evening. You find balance. That is rare. John smiled. Maybe I just needed to be in the right place to use it. One evening, John and Lyra sat near the forest edge, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The sky turned shades of purple and orange. The trees glowed like fireflies. John looked at her, thoughtful. Do you ever regret claiming me? He asked. Lyra turned to him, surprised. No, why would I? Because I was a stranger. I didn't know your ways. I didn't even understand what was happening. Lyra reached out and gently took his hand, but you listened. You learned. You stayed. That means more than words. They sat quietly, hand in hand. For the first time since he landed on 09, John didn't feel like a visitor anymore. Felt connected to the land, to the people, to Lyra. That night as he lay in his room, John thought about Earth, about the cities, the noise, the rush. He thought about how people always wanted more land, more power, more control. And he thought about the Valians, who simply wanted to live in peace. He made a quiet promise to himself. He would not let their world be destroyed, not while he could do something about it. John had only been on 09 for a short time, but already he felt a strange sense of belonging. The Valian village was peaceful, surrounded by glowing trees and gentle creatures. Yet beneath this calm, John knew a storm was coming. One morning, as the sky slowly brightened with soft pink light, John woke to a distant rumble. It was faint at first, like thunder far away, but steadily it grew louder. He stood up and looked out over the forest. Through the trees, a dark shape moved, a line of machines cutting through the undergrowth, tearing down trees with loud, harsh sounds. Lyra. John called out as he rushed outside. Lyra was already at the village center, speaking with the chief and other elders. When she saw John, her calm face tightened with concern. They are here, she said softly. John's heart pounded. The invaders had arrived. The machines were unlike anything John had seen. Massive metal beasts with sharp claws and bright glowing eyes. They moved with power and destruction. Crushing plants and trees as they advanced, the Valian villagers had gathered quickly, their peaceful faces now showing worry and fear. John stepped forward. We need to act fast, he said firmly. We can't fight them head-on. Their machines are too strong. The chief nodded. Our forest will not survive a battle like that. John looked at Lyra. Do you have any safe places? Hidden paths. Places they might not find. Lyra thought for a moment. There are caves beneath the mountains. Few know of them. We can hide there if needed. John quickly made a plan. We'll use guerrilla tactics, he explained. Small teams, hit and run. Use traps. Make them waste time and energy. Villagers agreed. They trusted John's knowledge of tactics from Earth's wars and conflicts. Over the next days, John worked with the Valians to prepare defenses. They set traps using vines and energy crystals that could stun or slow down machines. They placed sensors on trees to give early warnings. They mapped out secret paths through the forest that only locals knew. John also taught them simple camouflage techniques to hide their presence. Lyra joined him every day, her calm voice guiding the teams. "You are teaching us well," she said one afternoon as they set a trap near a river. John smiled. "You all learn fast. I'm impressed." Despite the work, John could feel the tension growing. Every night, the distant sounds of machines cutting and crashing echoed closer. One evening, after a long day of preparing, John and Lyra stood on a hill overlooking the forest. The setting sun painted the sky in fiery orange and purple. The village below looked peaceful, almost like a dream. But John's mind raced with worry. "Do you think we can stop them?" he asked quietly. Lyra looked at him, her golden eyes steady. "We must. For our home. For our future." John reached out and took her hand. "We'll do it together." The first attack came just before dawn. The machines moved slowly, breaking through the outer trees. The villagers waited silently, hiding in bushes and behind rocks. John's heart beat faster as he listened to the heavy sounds. Suddenly, a trap. Sprung veins wrapped around the claw of a machine, and the energy crystals sent out a pulse that stopped its engines. It jerked violently and fell to the ground. The villagers cheered quietly. John smiled. "Good, it's working." The machines pushed forward, but the Valians were ready. Small teams darted out to disable machines and then disappear into the forest. John led one group, using his Earth skills to surprise the invaders. Despite their technology, the invaders were confused and slowed down by the unexpected attacks. But the battle was far from over. That night, John sat by the fire with Lyra and the chief. "We cannot keep this up forever," John said. "They have more machines, bigger ones. We need a stronger plan." The chief nodded. "We are strong, but not endless." Lyra looked thoughtful. "There is a power in the forest, an ancient force, but it has not been used for many years." John's curiosity sparked. "What kind of power?" Lyra hesitated. "The heart of Zero is a source of energy deep beneath the forest. It can protect us, but it is dangerous. It requires a bond to the forest itself." John looked at her. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "It chooses its guardian. Someone who respects the forest and is willing to give part of themselves to protect it." John thought about the promise he made to protect this world, its people, and its beauty. "Could I be that guardian?" he asked quietly. Lyra smiled. Softly, "Only the heart will decide." The next day, John was led to the base of a giant tree near the village. It had a hollow opening that led underground. The chief and elders waited. John stepped inside the cool, dark tunnel. The air was thick but fresh, filled with the scent of earth and roots. Deeper and deeper he went until he reached a glowing chamber. In the center floated a bright orb of pure energy. It pulsed with life and power. The elders stepped back. John approached slowly. The orb's light grew stronger, filling the room. He reached out his hand. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a gentle warmth spread through his body. He felt connected to the forest, to the earth, to the life around him. Visions flashed in his mind, trees growing, its animals running, rivers flowing. John understood. He was now part of the heart of Zeros. When he returned, the villagers greeted him with awe and hope. Lyra took his hand again. "You have been chosen. You are the guardian." John smiled, feeling strength and peace inside. The invaders would come. But now they had more than traps and tactics. They had a protector, bonded to the very soul of the forest. Together, John, Lyra, and the Valians prepared for what lay ahead. John felt different. The power of the heart of Zeros pulsed inside him like a quiet storm. It was a calm, steady force that connected him to the forest, the air, and every living thing on Zero's 9. He could feel the tree's strength, the animals, life, and even the earth's heartbeat beneath his feet. But he also knew this power came with responsibility. He was now the guardian of the forest stand that meant protecting it from the invaders who sought to destroy everything. The villagers gathered around him, hope shining in their eyes. Lyra stood close, her golden eyes bright with pride. You are ready? She said softly. John nodded, still feeling the warmth of the energy inside him. I will do everything I can. The next morning, the forest was alive with tension. John and the Valians prepared for the next attack. The invaders were growing stronger, bringing bigger machines and more weapons. John could sense their approach before the first sounds reached the village. The power of the heart allowed him to feel disturbances in the forest, the breaking of branches, the shifting of earth. They are close, John warned the villagers. The chief gathered the defenders. We stand together. We protect our home. John took a deep breath. The power inside him grew stronger. He raised his hand, focusing on the energy of the forest. The ground beneath the approaching machines began to move. Roots and vines sprang up, wrapping around the metal legs and crushing tires. Trees bent their branches to block the path, forming natural barriers. The machines roared. But the invaders were caught off guard. John stepped forward, feeling the power surge through him. Now, he shouted. The Valian defenders moved quickly, using their traps and skills to disable the machines. With the forest itself fighting beside them, the invaders struggled to advance. During the battle, John realized the Heart of Zeros did more than just control plants. He could feel the energy healing the injured. When a Valian fighter fell, John reached out and placed his hand over the wound. Warm light spread, knitting the flesh and easing pain. Lyra watched in amazement. You can heal too? John smiled tiredly. I guess so. The battle raged for hours. The invaders tried to push through, but John's power and the villagers' courage were too strong at last. The machines began to retreat. The forest fell, silent again. After the battle, John walked among the wounded and the tired defenders. He felt proud but also worried. This won't be the last attack, he said quietly to Lyra. She nodded. They will come again, stronger. John looked at the forest, his new home. Then we must be ready. We must protect this place no matter what. Days passed, and life in the village returned to a quiet rhythm. The Valians repaired their homes and tended to the forest. John trained with them, sharing his knowledge and learning more about the heart's power. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in deep red, Lyra invited John to walk with her. They wandered through the glowing forest, the soft light wrapping around them like a blanket. John, Lyra began. Being the guardian means more than power. It means understanding balance. John looked at her. What kind of balance? The forest gives life, but it can also take it to protect itself. The heart is a gift, but it must be used wisely. John nodded slowly. I don't want to become a weapon. You won't, she assured him. You have a good heart. That night, John dreamed of the forest and the invaders. In his dream, the Heart of Zeros spoke to him. It showed him visions of the past, how the Valians lived in peace for centuries, and how the invaders once came, but were driven away by the power of the forest. Then, the heart warned him of a greater threat, a machine, unlike any other. With the power to destroy the forest completely, John woke with a start, his heart racing. He knew what he had to do. The next day, John gathered the village leaders there. Is a new machine coming? He said. Bigger and more dangerous? We must prepare. The chief frowned. How do you know? John told them about his dream. Some villagers looked worried. Others were skeptical. But Lyra stood beside him. We must trust John. The heart chose him for a reason. The chief nodded slowly. We will listen. John began working on a new plan. The old traps and defenses wouldn't be enough. He studied the forest and the heart's power, searching for ways to protect the village. With Lyra's help, John crafted a device that could amplify the heart's energy. Small, but powerful, designed to create a shield around the village. John tested it in the forest. When activated, a soft blue light surrounded him, and the plants around shimmered with life. This could work, John said excitedly. Lyra smiled. It will protect us. As the days passed, the villagers prepared for the next battle. John felt the weight of his responsibility, but but also the strength of his new family. He was no longer lost, he was a guardian. John stood at the center of the village, the small device glowing softly in his hand. The heart of Zeros pulsed inside him like a steady drum ready to fight. The invaders were coming. This time, their machines were enormous towering metal beasts. With sharp blades and heavy armor, they marched forward, cutting trees and crushing everything in their path. The villagers gathered behind John, his faces determined but nervous. Lyra stepped beside him, her voice calm but strong. "We stand together. For our home?" John took a deep breath and activated the device. A shield of blue light spread outward, wrapping the village in a protective glow. The machines reached the edge of the shield and stopped. They tried to push through. The barrier held firm. John focused, sending energy from the heart into the shield. The plants around the village responded. Vines grew quickly, weaving into walls and traps. The invaders attacked, but the forest fought back. The battle was fierce. Machines tried to break the shield with heavy claws, but the energy held strong. The vines wrapped around the legs and arms of the machines, slowing them down and sometimes crushing their metal. John moved through the battlefield, his power healing wounded villagers and strengthening the forest. He felt the weight of every life around him, the fear, the hope, the courage. He was not alone. Suddenly, shadow moved in the distance. The giant machine from John's dream appeared much larger than the others, covered in thick armor and glowing red eyes. It marched forward, with terrifying power, crushing trees and breaking through the shield. John felt the heart of Zero strain against the machine's destructive force. He knew this was the final test. Lyra ran to John's side. "This is it," she said. John nodded. "I have to face it." He stepped forward, the glowing orb of energy in his chest burning bright. The giant machine saw him and charged. John called on the heart. Reaching deep into the forest's power, the ground shook. Roots burst through the earth, wrapping around the machine's legs. The machine struggled, but its blades cut through the vines. John focused harder. Feeling the energy flow through his veins, he reached out with his mind, connecting to the trees, the animals, the very earth. A wave of energy surged forward, striking the machine. It stumbled and fell with a deafening crash. The battle ended. The remaining machines fled, broken and defeated. The forest was quiet again. The villagers cheered, lifting John and Lyra on their shoulders. John smiled, tired but happy. He looked at Lyra. "We did it together." She smiled back. "Always together." Days later, the village celebrated their victory. John stood beneath the heart tree. Feeling the peace of the forest, he knew the invaders might return someday, but he was ready. With Lyra by his side and the heart of Zeros within him, he would protect this world. He was no longer lost. He was home.